Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Audible Sportscast. My name's Jeffrey.
My name's Cody, and on this channel we talk about football and other hot sports stories. What is it? 21 days until NFL season, official season.
It is getting closer and closer every single day, and I honestly feels like we never were going to get to this point. Like, there's just so much going on in the world. It's just like football seems like an afterthought. Now it's finally here. We got preseason rolling around. We got games going. We got rookie quarterbacks showing why they were drafted in the first round. And
Sam Ellinger and Jacob Eason.
now that's a quarterback battle I never thought we'd ever talk
Who would have
about.
thought?
Not me.
I mean, shoot. They're both really confident. You haven't really seen too deep of balls from them, but...
Well, at the same time, though, Eason has himself a big arm.
Yeah.
He comes from that.
Get to see it. What did he say? Yeah, he can throw it 75 yards or something like that. No, he said 100.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said 100.
Wow. I mean, that Washington program he comes out of, though, they're known for their quarterback arms. That's for sure. But welcome to the first ever episode of the Audible Sportscast. What we kind of wanted to do here is do a little bit less of the sports and a little bit more of kind of about us, what we want from this. So, as Cody has said, there's literally 3 weeks until the football season starts.
Exactly 3 weeks.
Exactly 3 weeks until that kickoff game.
How does it wait? 21 days.
Thursday night football.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot today's Thursday.
Yeah. We're in the dog days of summer. It's hard sometimes to remember what day it is. But every day, every week until the season starts, we're planning on giving you one episode of us talking fantasy. Giving us hot takes, maybe even some top position lists. Because there's some controversies going on in Twitter world right now on who some of these top players are, especially with Madden revealing all their ratings. So we'll give you some maybe top 10 receivers next week. We'll see about that.
Oh, yeah. We'll be heavy on fantasy. I got my list of running backs. Top 5 to, I think I did I did top 10. Same as receivers. Quarterbacks are pretty easy. We'll get into that. Really anything over fantasy, from QB all the way to defense. So
and there's lots of defenses
this
year, especially with a lot of these early matchups. Denver, it's one of those teams you want to be looking at with their early matchups.
Yes.
But
I want to say Colts will still be there. But that secondary kind of scares me just a little bit. I don't know. Hopefully Rockison doesn't see too much. I don't know.
It will be.
Xavier Rhodes and TJ Carey still have quite a bit of juice, so they were pretty impressive last year.
It will be interesting to see how the Colts play this year, from the early injuries they've been dealing with in training camp and pretty much putting all of their chips on the table with Carson Wentz. So they'll be an interesting eye to keep on early in the year.
He'll probably be back week 1. That's the way it's looking.
He might be back, but will he be mentally ready? Because it's always kind of been a mental thing with him the last couple of years.
He'll be back mentally. He's got everything he needs. Really, I kind of want to see Jacob Eason play, though. So, I don't know. If Wentz doesn't perform, we will see him. Well, as you can tell, I'm a Colts fan, so...
Yeah, let's get a little bit about ourselves. Why don't you tell the world who you are?
Well, I'm a Colts fan. I'm not gonna get too personal, but I like my indie sports, so Pacers. Really, that's the only other major sport in Indy, but I still do like the Bulls a little bit. We'll talk a little basketball in here, not insanely deep, but you know, with baseball, that's my other. I can tolerate baseball. We won't talk too much baseball, but we'll talk some important events and stuff like that. World Series or playoffs. We'll get pretty heavy into it. But yeah. Tell us about you. What's so exciting?
Well, me. There's a lot exciting about being a Chicago only fan because you get lots of fun with the Chicago teams. The Bears, one of
We
the
haven't
best
seen
teams
that
in
in
the
a
NFL.
while.
One of the best teams in the NFL. You gotta love the Bears. You got
Since when?
30,
They
40
are.
years ago.
There you go. Nah. All
They're,
right.
they're
We'll,
one of,
we'll go back. We'll go back on that topic. Continue.
but the other team that has me really excited for in these next couple of months has to be the Chicago Bulls. Some of the free
Yes.
agency moves they've made this year, they might not be serious contenders to make it out of the East, but
No, they
they
will.
I would love to
They
see it.
are. In my book, they are, and I'm not a big Bulls fan. I follow them, but I see it. I actually do see it.
That
You got DeRozan. He went to Spurs for a while, but he wasn't really.
he was still putting up pretty good numbers there. Like the numbers didn't go down that
he wasn't
much.
a standout player, or I don't know.
Plus, he's in that Popovich system where it's kind of a very team-oriented system. So, you're not getting
Which
your
is
flashy.
good. That's why I like the Spurs.
Yes, and Billy Donovan is that kind of coach too. You saw kind of what he did in Oklahoma City a few years ago when they were projected to be one of the last teams in the NBA, and they went on to almost beat the Houston Rockets. They took them to 7 games.
Well, my big player on that is on that team is Lonzo Ball, because no player in the NBA, in my opinion, is like him. No player has come as far as him, in my opinion.
Definitely.
From having a horrible, ugly shot to having a pretty clean one, and his defense is pretty good.
His playmaking abilities, the whole reason I'm excited. You can, he's something I feel like with obviously, they have Levine, they have DeRozan, they traded for Vooch last year at the trade deadline, but the guy not a lot of people are talking about is their 4th overall pick last year with Patrick Williams. He showed a lot of impressive things on both sides of the ball, and I feel like a playmaker in Lonzo Ball can help him take that next step, and everything else around him, that he'll be the man that decides how good that team really will be, I feel like.
Who?
Patrick Williams.
Oh.
How big of a step
Honestly,
he will take.
I will admit I was way wrong about him, because I thought the Bulls were moronic for doing that.
I myself questioned it.
Well, yeah, he didn't even start for.
No.
Florida
He was
State,
the 6th man of the year coming out of the ACC.
Realized, even that, I just didn't. It's never good to pick a bench player, but that team was actually very loaded, and I didn't really put
Not
that
to
into
mention-
much thought.
Not to mention all the other big names that you saw go after him, like Isaac Okoro, who went, I believe, the pick right after him, and just some of these other big name players that everyone thought were going to be taken. But I feel like he will be, if he can keep making the progress, that he will be a very key part of a hopefully championship-winning Bulls team. But
Yeah, I don't know about this year, but they'll make it far.
They need
further than the Pacers, I can tell you that. I don't know that I can't think of his name, but that Chris guy.
the rookie that's been balling here in the summer league.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been
From Oregon.
I've been keeping an eye on him. I mean, it's kind of
I can't think of his name, but you know what I'm saying. I'm terrible with names, so
I feel like,
Jeff
and a lot of people questioned them taking him because he was this older
Well,
person.
Yeah.
And you don't really see that in the NBA. You see them taking these guys who are in college for 1 year, or in one of the other developmental systems, or in Europe for a little short amount of time. You got these 18, 19-year-olds getting drafted in the lottery system.
Well,
not 24-year-olds.
They say he needs a lot of development. During the draft, they said that, and I don't see it. I just don't see it. The man shoots dimes. He shoots like a pro already, and his ball handling's pretty dang good. He's a true guard in my part of the division. Well, we're going off summer league, so
it'll be interesting how the whole East, a healthy East, it'll be hard to make it in.
It's still gonna be dominant West though.
That's how it's gonna be, especially when you got the Lakers, you got the Clippers, you got Suns, you got the Jazz, you got a lot of these favorites are coming out of the East, but obviously you got the Nets, you got the Bucks. It'll be a fun NBA season. We gotta wait a little bit for that. We got NFL to worry about before we can even think about the NBA. Not to mention we're only a month and a half away until October. We got World Series, but that's a lot. Let's talk a little bit about kind of what we want once the NFL season starts. So until the season starts, we're planning on giving you one episode per week until we get to that Thursday night football game. But once the season starts, we're going to record an episode on Mondays and Thursdays. Hopefully getting those out right away and just giving you some post games to talk about, some pre-game stuff, some fantasy, some hot takes. We're going to give you all of it.
Well, then this might change,
Yeah,
we talked about this. We might do more. It just depends.
Oh, yes. Have to do what we can, but we want to give you the best things we can give you.
And then, we have Twitter.
Yes. We have
Audible SC.
Yes. Our Twitter for our the podcast is Audible, and then a capital SC, all one word. And you can also we have a Instagram, audiblesportscast, all under case, just like how it looks wherever you're watching this podcast.
We never went back to I think that's enough, or they get it. So we never went back to the Bears topic. What do you think about Justin Fields?
Justin Fields now. It was I was able to watch and admired him coming in, and he's all the rave coming out of training camp, all these practices. That's all everyone's talking about, just how great Justin Fields is throwing deep, he has this charisma surrounding him.
I wanna see him in a regular season. I think he does look good. Don't get me wrong, but I want to see him in a regular season game.
That's what I'm saying.
Do I want to see him game one? No, I don't. I want to see Andy Dalton game one because I think this is a Patrick Mahomes situation. I think he needs to sit behind a experienced QB and get a little development. Yeah, he looks good, but I think he needs to wait a few games.
I agree. I want to see
playing the Rams game one.
That's another thing. Do you want to throw in Justin Fields against what could be one of the best defenses, or is the best defense in the NFL right now?
Oh, no doubt.
You got
that team. I think it's better than Tampa Bay. It definitely is.
And it'll be amazing seeing
They're close, but
it'll be amazing seeing Matt Stafford finally having the spotlight for once. He's been.
Can you believe no one's high on him? Everyone I talk to is not high on Matthew Stafford, but he good.
He's very good. He does. Everyone raves about what Patrick Mahomes does, and he's been doing the same. Or Aaron Rodgers, and he's been doing that exact same stuff all these years. He has one of the best arms in the game, the best vision.
Wait, what'd you say about him and Aaron Rodgers?
that they've just been doing the same. Like all you see these amazing throws that him and Mahomes and Rodgers are all doing, and Stafford's always been doing it. He's just this amazing gifted player that because he's in Detroit doesn't get the attention that he deserves.
They're gonna be good.
Yeah, I maybe
who's gonna be the surprise team? Who do you got?
I don't want to. Surprise teams are interesting because
Let's take a step back. Who's gonna be the surprise player?
Surprise player across the entire
Better
NFL?
yet, who's gonna be? Let's go to running back position. Who's gonna be the surprise running back?
The Bears fan in me wants to say David Montgomery's going to take a big step. He's going to get a lot more touches this year.
Is he a surprise though? He performed pretty well last
yeah,
year.
And I'm not seeing a lot of people talk really well about him. I don't see him as a top even 15 back. I see him obviously as one, but all these Madden I think has him as like 23rd rated running back, something like that.
Wasn't he top 8 last year?
He was.
He finished at least his first half. Yeah, he didn't do much, but I had him on fantasy last year. I gave him up for. Actually, it was actually a pretty good trade. I can't remember who I got out of it, but yeah, whoever got him, they got.
Oh yeah,
They got a good player.
He had with the last 5 weeks in the NFL, was the best of those last 5 weeks. The matchups.
Well, he still leads the broken tackle after contact.
I believe him, Derrick Henry, and Nick Chubb are like kind of like those three. Those are the three guys pretty much that you see up there.
They're both like right on him.
And I you don't see a lot of people talking about David Montgomery, and I feel like if a passing game can take a big step, you got Allen Robinson, you got Darnell Mooney, you got Marquise Goodwin, who I feel like, he didn't play last year, but I feel like, he's that speedy receiver that can just stretch the field. You got Daz Newsome, a rookie, coming out of North Carolina. You got all these nice receivers. You got, obviously, Jimmy Graham, this red zone threat that no one really talks about anymore, but he still was putting up very good.
Are we talking about the Bears being a surprise as a whole?
I'm talking David Montgomery.
You're just talking about the weapons.
Yeah, I'm saying if that passing game can evolve, that'll allow David Montgomery to not be seeing these heavy boxes, and will help just that team evolve into a. Hopefully, I can see them being a 9-win team. Not bias aside.
Well, I'm not really a Bears fan. I follow them obviously, but come on, I think they're gonna win more than 10. Or you said 9. I think they're gonna win at least 10, 11. If not, I think they could actually be ahead of Green Bay.
It'll be. NFC North has a tough.
Do you not
issue.
see that?
I always.
The odds kind of changed with Aaron Rodgers coming back, but like the Vikings.
I feel like this offseason the Vikings
will be.
Took probably 2 steps forward, but still a step back. That
defense is still a mess.
They had the secondary was really bad, and they went and got Patrick Peterson, who I still feel like is a really good corner in this league. But
who knows,
exactly,
change that number. That might change everything. Be like, oh, what is he, number 1 now? No.
He's one of those players that changed to a single digit though, going back to his college number.
I think that's ridiculous, but some don't, but I do. But yeah, I think Andy Dalton has what it takes, to be honest. That Cowboys team, that team completely fell apart, and that line gave him what team were they playing? He got decapitated.
That was the Washington football team. It was atrocious. You don't see.
That man was a whole Joe Flacco.
But the thing that gives me hopes for the Bears, even with Andy Dalton's done it with less in Cincinnati. And
yeah, very true. That's what I always go back on to.
Comparing that offense, the Bengals have had better their lines. They've had Andrew Whitworth, who was a keystone to that line for 10 plus years, and you don't really see that with the Bears. They just went out and signed Jason Peters, but can he come back to his old self? That'll be a question. But when you compared kind of what the other pieces of that offense is, he's had A.J. Green all those years. I feel like Allen Robinson right now, maybe even better than A.J. Green.
Oh, definitely. That man is the most slept-on receiver I have ever seen in my life.
He in all honesty, might be a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL, and he's not 2 or 3.
Who you got, 2 and 3?
You gotta tune in next week to figure that out.
Shoot. Well, I'd say number 1 is Devontae Adams. I'll just leave it at that.
He's pretty good.
Oh, yeah, I have to say my running back. Guess who it is?
I already know. Not a lot. I don't feel like people should be.
I'll give you a hint. It's not the Colts.
Oh, it's not. I thought you were going to go all in on Jonathan Taylor, which
I knew you thought I was, but
I wouldn't blame you for it.
I think he actually will be one, but he's not my number 1.
I feel like the Colts backfield is a little crowded, so it'd be interesting how that goes. But
well, they did come out and say that Jonathan Taylor will probably get 60% of the reps, which that means a truck. He'll make most of them, but make most of it. But Darrell Henderson Jr.
Darrell Henderson.
That whole running backfield has died. And he actually did look good last year. What, he get hurt a couple times? Once?
I believe so, back when Akers was still dealing with stuff
He was actually my number 1. He was a big target for me in fantasy. But they had Brown last year too, and they all 3 performed really well in different games.
Oh yes.
Like Henderson, he had close to or even over one game I recall in PPR he had 27. I think another game he had close to 30.
And I think that just shows
he, the 3rd string
for several different times in the year, definitely. And I think that just shows how well of a coach Sean McVeigh is, how amazing his offenses are, and it's just it's hard to not pick that. People forget they were with Jared Goff and some maybe some help with the refs and a pass interference that should have been called. They went to a Super Bowl. Sean McVay is by far one of the best offensive-minded coaches in the NFL. You got him, Andy Reid. It's hard not to say that he's an amazing coach, especially doing it with Jared Goff all these years.
I agree. Well, and you went to the Super Bowl with him, so.
Exactly. And he didn't even have his top running back. Todd Gurley, who was having an amazing year, pretty much his knees finally gave out. And after all that, and he used a C.J. Anderson who was kind of past his time.
No. C.J. Anderson was good.
I'm not saying he's not good. I'm just saying he was just this free agent pickup out of nowhere, and next thing you know,
and he performed great.
He did. He had that Cowboys team in the playoffs pretty much going in circles.
Yeah, don't talk bad about my C.J. Anderson.
I
loved him when he was on Denver.
He was an amazing. And anyone in that Denver team felt like one. Especially back when Peyton Manning was there, you could draft any of those players. You know they're going to be top 5 at their position.
E.J. Manuel, back when he was a fantasy stud.
Demarius Thomas, Julius Thomas, Noshawn Moreno even had some games. That 2013 team is the only team to have 5 players score 10-plus touchdowns.
I forgot about that.
Eric Decker, Noshawn Moreno, Julius Thomas, Demarius Thomas, Wes
Welker was on that team.
Yeah.
Was he on that team?
Oh, yes. He was on that team. Him and his...
So I'm naming my kid after.
Him, Wes Welker, and that huge helmet he'd always wear.
That man is my idol.
Now that's he's one of my favorite stories. Going from man fighting for his job in Miami, taking kicks to winning Super Bowls with Tom Brady, known as one of the greatest slot receivers in the NFL in all of history.
We got a couple minutes left. I don't know, this will be a little political, but Colin Kaepernick being on Madden 22
I saw
as
that.
a 81 overall, like what?
What's
the
it
man
been
hasn't
now?
played in
6
4 or
years?
5 years. Is it? No, it's been like 4 or 5. I thought
It's been a long time.
that man got benched for who? Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah.
Like that's the word. That's the worst it comes. Cause
I mean,
we all know
be in the
what
game.
he stood for, but
I feel like
the
him
man
being
was benched for a reason.
I just feel like 81's a little high.
It's very high. He's higher than all right. Kirk is not that good, but he is not that low. He should not be that low.
He's a playoff winning quarterback.
He's literally higher than Justin Herbert. What, Justin Herbert's 78, and he proved what he was and was capable of.
Yes.
With like a horrible O-line.
Keenan Allen.
Sam
going through some
Tebby
injury.
playing left tackle, who is playing for the Colts right now, and was getting starting reps. The man was getting walked by. DNs were literally walking right by him. No, I'm serious. It is horrible. Like, that man is the worst left tackle I've ever seen. I just want Eric Fisher to be back. But
now that's will be interesting to see if he comes back about mid-late season. They're making a run. That the rest of that O-line's healthy. That's the best O-line in the game.
Colts?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The Browns are still pretty good.
Oh, I mean, right now the Browns are the best. But if Eric Fisher if that Colts offensive line can stay healthy and Fisher comes back, 100%, which that's a big if, but if he can. It's that they're 1 and 2. They're the best 2 offensive lines in the game, fully healthy, which that's a big if, but
Colts will have close to a top 5 D line too.
oh yeah, especially those rookies they drafted.
Stewart, Buckner at tackles, DNs, they're all performing.
Not to mention Darius
Jerry's
Leonard knows how to
back,
get in the backfield on those blitzes.
They still don't. They have him at the 8th best linebacker. The man has better stats than Fred Warner.
Not to mention the highest paid.
Yeah, and Bobby Wagner is still number 4. That man's nothing without KJ Wright.
Well, KJ
Speaking
Wright.
of KJ Wright, he still doesn't have a team.
What didn't San Francisco sign him a week ago?
Did they really?
I believe so.
Never mind. But back on topic. Don't buy Madden 22. Don't buy Madden ever again. They're the most worthless game I've ever seen laid my eyeballs on. It's horrible.
I've kind of boycotted the last few, or not boycotted, but definitely haven't been playing them a lot. I haven't bought it in 8 years now.
You still play it.
I still play it, but I might just skip it completely this year. I
play that game and I literally have an aneurysm. It doesn't work out. So yeah, this was pretty much an intro. We went in deep, went in a little depth on some topics, but it was pretty much just a taste on what we'll really be getting at and stuff. So next week we'll really be getting deep into fantasy and all that. We'll still do all the topics and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, and
Is that all you got?
Yeah, don't forget to follow the Instagram at audiblesportscast and the Twitter audiblesc, and make sure you give us a like, a share, share it to everyone that likes sports.
I guess that's all we got. We'll see you.
See ya.